here we go. So we're going to go through this number 4, and I'm going to reteach you the Sohcahtoa so that we can find the angles also. Now there's some things about Sohcahtoa. Sohcahtoa, that's sine, cosine, tangent. The way you find it in your calculator is sin, cos, and tan. The so means that the opposite side is over the hypotenuse. Okay? So opposite is always opposite of the angle that we're talking about. That makes sense? Okay? So if it's this, if it's phi, then this should be opposite, not adjacent. Adjacent is next to the angle that we're talking about. Right? And then hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. That's always across from the right angle. Okay? So to find the hypotenuse, we know we're looking at this, right? So we know this is the hypotenuse. Now we just got to find it. So we remember Sohcahtoa, but we also remember Pythagorean Theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. That is our key. Okay? So we got a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is the Pythagorean theorem, right? And then we just plug into the numbers. Okay? 4 squared plus 6 squared equals c squared. Okay? That's substitution, right? And then you do the math, simplification. We know all this stuff. 4 squared is 4 times 4. 16, 6 times 6? 36, right? You got it. All right. And then that's 52, right? And so that's simplifying. Okay? And now what we're going to do is square root both sides. Right? Because we got to get rid of that square. So we square root both sides, and what we call that is square root property of equality, because we're doing it to both sides. So remember, addition property, subtraction property, division property, right? So this is just square root property. Alright, so now we're going to simplify, right? Let's simplify 52. So 2 is 26, 2 is 13, 13 is 1. So we have 2 square roots of 13. So when we simplify this out, it's 2 square roots of 13 is c. And that's just simplified. Okay? So the hypotenuse is equal to 2 square roots of 13. That's it. So that's number 4. Okay? Question?
Where did you get the 4 and 6?
It was given on the purple at the top. See it on the triangle?
So 4 was A?
Yeah. So we just said, hey, if this is A, then this will be A. If this is B, then this will be B. And if this is C, then this will be C. Remember, C is always the hypotenuse. Okay? When you're talking about Pythagorean Theorem. Okay? Now the legs don't matter because you're adding them, right? 5 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 5. Right? Okay. So finding the missing angles. This goes back to the Sohcahtoa. Remember, this, if we wanted to do sine, it would be opposite. So opposite of A would be 4, right? Right?
Yeah.
So let's go with the A. So the opposite of A is 4. So this is opposite. This is still hypotenuse, right? So the adjacent would be 6. Okay? Does that make sense? To A. Now to B, the opposite would be 6. See how that's different? Okay? Now, if I want to do this, I can say, okay, then the sine, now if I want to do sine, it'd be opposite over hypotenuse, right? But what do you want to use? Do you want to use this nasty number or these two nice numbers?
Two nice numbers.
The two nice numbers. So you go with, okay, opposite and adjacent. So you look at Sohcahtoa and you say, which one has O and A? Which one has O and A?
O and A? Oh,
Yep.
tangent.
Tangent. Okay? So we're going to choose tangent. See how that makes your choice. You want to use the things that you want to use. I want to use opposite and adjacent, so I want to use tangent. Okay? So I set that up. I go, okay, tangent of A is equal to opposite over adjacent, right? Which is equal to 4 over 6, right? And what that is we just did two things, right? We did the definition of tangent, and we did substitution, right? Okay, now what? Well, there's this thing called the inverse, okay? Now the inverse of tangent looks like this. Tangent to the negative. And tangent to the negative of O over A is equal to the... And all it does is instead of using the angle to find the ratio, we use the ratio to find the angle. And in some calculators, this will look like A tan of O over A is equal to theta. They're the same thing. A tan and tan negative, same thing. Okay? So, when we set this up, you can go with whichever one you want. If you want to go with tangent negative A, right? Or negative, then you're going to go negative of this, 4 over 6, equals A, angle A. It's that simple. Okay? Now when I do that, I plug it into the calculator, right? And so, a lot of times I can't see this, right? And so when we plug it into the calculator, you're going to hit second, right? And then tangent, and that gives you that tangent inverse, right? And then we're going to hit 4 divided by 6. Okay, it equals, and we get 33.69. Okay, 33.69. So 33.69, that's the same as 33.7, right? So we're going to be like, okay, then tangent inverse of 4, 6 is equal to 33.7 degrees. And that's angle A. Okay? So we could actually just go angle A is equal to 33.7 degrees. Probably a better way of saying it. Okay? Now, the purple is the definition of the tangent inverse. Okay? And then the red is just simplify, right? You throw it in your calculator. So simplify. Now, here's the cool part with B. I could do B two different ways. I could do it the same, right? Because B, angle B is going to equal the tangent inverse of opposite 6 over adjacent 4. See how they're flipped? Now I could plug that in, or I could remember that